Hey there, I'm Trista Polo with Cecil TV, and I'm excited to be here with Andrew Mitchell today. He is the artistic director of the Milburn Stone Theater. Their current show is Urinetown, and he's the director as well. So we're going to hear all about this show and why we need to check it out. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you with us. So this is exciting. You're directing this show. Do you direct a lot of shows for Milburn Stone Theater?
I do at least 2 a season. Sometimes it's 3. This past season was 3. Next season coming up, I'm only doing 2. But yes, usually at least 2.
I have to know, do you get to pick which ones you want to direct from the season?
Yes, usually when we do our season selection process, I'm a little heavy-handed on the shows that I want to work on. Sometimes if it just really depends on our season itself, but I certainly, as we go into planning the season, I have the ones that I am more interested in and the ones that I push forward.
Right.
Sometimes if it's a show that I really want, I will certainly go after it. Sometimes if it's a show that I just want in our season, I might also try to find a director that I think is good for that show, even though it's not something that I'm working on. But the ones that I directly work on, I try to, at least, if I'm going to work on it, I want to make sure that it's also one that I'm passionate about.
Absolutely. And this one is Urinetown. So why this show and why did you want to direct it? What's special about it?
So I first worked on this show, I think back in 2007 at a theater in Wilmington. And I love this show. It is a goofy, funny show that I was really happy to be a part of in the cast beforehand. And it's one of those ones that as I got further along in my directing career, more than just performing, that I was like, oh, I really want to work on that show. I really like, as a director, sometimes even if you're a director slash actor, even after you do a show once, you kind of want to sometimes play in that sandbox a bit and then try things out. Not necessarily to be different than the one that you did beforehand, but you get inspired by working on a show and you kind of pencil out things like, oh, maybe I would do that differently if this was my show to work on. Not wrong or right, just different things that I'd wanted to try to approach in a piece. So I've kind of always had this affinity and love for this show, as goofy and as funny as it is.
Now the show is Urinetown, and which is kind of a weird name, and it's a satirical show, but it got a lot of awards when it came out on Broadway. Can you tell us a little about the story? What is it about the show? How would you describe it?
Sure. So it deals with the lighthearted and fun topic of a water shortage. I know, something that we all laugh at, but yeah, no, it takes a very serious subject dealing with a town or an area dealing with a horrible 20-year drought and what that might look like for a society that has very little water and how that society might have to handle dealing with a water shortage. In Urinetown, there's a large corporation that regulates the flow of water, and it regulates it all the way down to even using the restroom, hence the title Urinetown. And if you think it's a terrible title, it is, and they let you know that in the book itself. So they make sure to let people know in Urinetown, oh man, what a terrible title. That's part of the joke of the show. So anyone who says, oh, that's a terrible title, yes, it is. But yeah, it's a very funny show. It won a bunch of Tony Awards, it won a bunch of off-Broadway awards before it went to Broadway. And since then, it's been a staple of theaters all across this nation since it finally became available to the public.
That's awesome. And it's been in rehearsal now for a few months. So can you tell us a little about the rehearsal process for people that aren't familiar with the rehearsal process and anything special about this process, any fun memories of things that came out of the rehearsals?
So for most of our shows at the Milburn Stone Theater, we rehearse between 3 to 4 months, depending on where it fits in our season, depending on what it fits within the calendar year. Certainly shows that happen around the holidays might have more time, or ones that rehearse over the holiday season might have more time, just to make sure that our actors and performers have a chance to actually live a life rather than just being rehearsal every night. We're usually in rehearsals for about 3 to 4 nights a week, depending on the week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on just the flow of things. Really, the rehearsal process kind of starts for a musical with a read-through, but then it's also music rehearsals and choreography before we get to the actual blocking of the shows, and then putting it together and getting our acts together before we get a chance to put the whole thing together. This show, and it's kind of the joy of a musical theater production compared to a drama, that you'd still have the same process, but there's a little bit more experimenting with timing and trying to make sure what the timing of a joke might be, trying to find the beats of something, trying to find the pace, because not that you don't have to worry about pace and timing with the drama, you absolutely do, but if it's for a comedy, you're also trying to think about where a laugh might be. Sometimes you're rewarded in that a laugh might happen in a spot that you had no idea that was going to be funny to a certain audience at a certain time. So it just kind of fits in trying to find the puzzle pieces for what a cohesive production might be.
Sure. And you had quite a cast, you have quite a cast for this show, as well as a production team. Any standouts you'd like to share? Any characters we should look for when we see the show?
There's plenty. Certainly there's plenty. I've got a lot of, this show is full of returning MST performers and a lot of great new ones, which is a good balance for this show. But we've had people who have been a part of multiple productions, also part of this one. I don't want to single out any one actor, but I do want to say that the ensemble of this production is fantastic. If you are just, I'm in the room for every single rehearsal, and people are doing things every rehearsal that I missed from nights before. So they're fantastic. But I've got a really good lighting designer for this show. He comes from us. He actually was a part of this theater for many years before. He's gone off and done things elsewhere. Coming back, did one show for us. Now he's actually off in New York working on another production right now. Great stage manager, great music director, great audio engineer, all these new people and returning people that are that are great for this production. And I'm really excited for audiences to see what the final production is and how it all gels together for this production coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned the music a couple times, both the music director, some of the lyrics. Can you tell us a little more about the music we can expect, since it is a musical?
Sure. So one of the fun things about Urinetown is Urinetown, is a musical, clearly, but it doesn't have one genre that it picks on or picks with. It kind of lampoons, in a way, lots of different shows from musical theater history. So there's a number that is more Les Mis inspired. There's a number that feels more ragtime inspired. There's a number that is West Side Story inspired. All these things woven in while they're still ballads. I mean, the first big number in the show is it feels almost like an 11th hour ballad in the very beginning of the show called Privilege to Pee. It's the show. Of course, you're going to get joke titles like that. But it ends with this amazing big note that Bethany, who's playing our Miss Pennywise, gets to do. And yeah, it is there. That's throughout this show. Lots of big soaring ballads, lots of fun things. But also there's like a 42nd Street number named after like the villain of the show, where it's a big song and dance Broadway number. There is, and it's great. It's a silly number, but it's called Don't Be the Bunny. And it is a goofy number about warning the cast not to just be a bunny, if you will, but not be like a sucker. It's kind of like that same idea. But they even do, like, my choreographer Heather does a fantastic job with it. They do this fun, goofy little bunny hop number where they're even putting their ears out where they move back and forth. Sounds silly, it is. But if you look at the subject matter, like, it's a little bunny at a toll booth who doesn't have the money to pay. So the joke line in there is, Haas and Pfeffer's in the air as the bunny gets the chair. And it's that sort of fun alliteration that you get in this show that kind of explains everything.
Beautiful. Well, it sounds like a great show. So when is it running? What are the actual dates for us?
So it's this weekend, starting on June 14th. We start June 14th, and we go all the way to June 23rd. Fridays, Saturdays at 8 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m.
And for people who aren't aware, how do we get tickets for the show?
There are 3 easy ways. You can come to the theater itself. We have box office hours from 12 to 4, Tuesday through Friday. We're also open 3 hours before showtime, so pretty much we're open almost all day this Friday and next Friday. So you can come here. We're at Cecil College's main campus right here in Northeast Maryland. You can also go to milburnstone.com, and you can go to the ticket link right there to purchase tickets, or you can call 410-287-1037 and talk to someone in the box office and get your tickets over the phone.
Awesome. And they are great people. I know a couple people that work in the theater and the box office, and they're awesome. They're really helpful. You have a really great group of people, staff, support. And I'd love to hear, we've heard about the show. It sounds like it's going to be a wonderful show. So we definitely need to go and see it while it's running here. How would we support the theater? If we have viewers that want to support the theater, what would be the best way to do that?
So, I mean, as a nonprofit, the easiest way to support is also to give, right? I should say not the easiest way. One of the most important ways is to give money towards the theater. And we do have a lot of robust options for giving. Like if you give $100, we'll give you 2 tickets. We'll mention you in our programs. We'll mention you on our screens in the theater. That's a very important way to support the arts in Cecil County and support the arts at the Milburn Stone Theater. But maybe the easiest way and the most cost-efficient way, like our stuff on social media, comment, post, share, let people know. Word of mouth is still large in the theater community. And for anything in general, still word of mouth is the #1 trusted way to let people know about things that you like and things that you love. And we hope that if you come to the Milburn Stone Theater, you're going to love our productions. We certainly hope for that. Most importantly, the more word of mouth out there, the more people that know about us. Because even though we've been in this building since 1992, even though the Milburn Stone Theater / Cover Bridge Theater has been in this area since the 70s, there's still people that don't know about the Milburn Stone Theater. And we want to make sure that everybody knows. So the more that you can share and let people know about the Milburn Stone Theater, that is #1, the most important thing.
Well, I love that because it costs nothing to like, comment, engage, and share on social media, but it really can make a huge difference. And I don't think people realize that one little like, one little share, one little comment can exponentially get the word out to more and more people, and then it can find its audience. And of course, we want to have sold out shows, huge audiences for this wonderful show, Urinetown. We wish you all the best with the show and the season, and break a leg to the cast and crew.
Thank you very much. I will send that along to them, and I know they'll appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us, Andrew. We'll see you next time.